Why is America doing better than Canada?
Well, I think there's probably three reasons for it. Canada does not have a Biden CHIPS Act where we're subsidizing investment
Right.
to make Canada the great semiconductor power once again. So, of course, that's a protectionist policy, and it's fueled a boom in manufacturing construction in the United States. Point number one. Part of that is, of course, a broader picture of fiscal policy. I wasn't a big fan of the Trudeau budget, but where's the deficit to GDP ratio in Canada is basically stuck between 1% and 2%.
Right.
Where
right.
it is in the U.S., it's north of 5%. I mean, you still have ongoing massive fiscal expansion. Nobody in the world has the fiscal expansion that the United States has. So that's, of course, influencing aggregate demand growth. And on top of that, look, on top of that, 30-year fixed rate mortgages, households in the United States who are mortgage borrowers who are lucky enough to lock in at the lows, they've been sheltered by what the Fed has done.
Yeah, we call that David, the Sweeney effect. So there's the layout, folks, on the fiscal expansion in the United States. Fold that, David Rosenberg, into the jobs report this morning. Do we have a fake labor economy because of all that American stimulus?
Well, I wouldn't call it fake. The government, whether you like it or not, is part of the economy. But if you're asking me about fake, and I don't want to appear to be a conspiracy theorist, but I haven't seen a lot of people talk about the data from the QCEW that came out last week. That is census data. It's not a sample. And it showed that over the year to the third quarter of last year, since it's a complete database and so it's lagged, it's showing that non-farm payrolls have been overstated by roughly 70 to 80,000 per month. That's from the QCEW. That is not a sample. It's not influenced by the birth-death model. That is the full sample of, call it 12 million entities, not 700,000. Establishments as part of the payroll survey. Everybody's going to knock themselves out talking about payrolls today. There will be unfortunate traders trading around what is really faulty data. Part of that is because of the ultra low response rate, but also the birth-death model is dramatically, the estimate of employment from net new business creation, that is giving a false glow to the data. And that's really what was revealed last week in the QCW.
Okay.
So it's not, I wouldn't call it fake, but it's overstating the extent.
Yeah, that's where I would go.
We're
not going to have David say that. Paul, I'm going to say that it's fake. And what matters, Paul, is the revisions that we see this morning at 8:30.
Exactly. So, David, given that backdrop and what we've seen in GDP and what we're going to see here today with labor and what we heard from Fed Chairman Jay Powell this week, what do you think the Fed should do over the remainder of 2024?
Well, look, I think that they've already over-tightened, and Powell, I thought one of the more important things was he said that policy is restrictive. Again, my problem with the Fed is with this particular version of the Fed, which is different than other Federal Reserves that I've seen in my 40 years in the business, is they are so anally retentive focused on lagging and contemporaneous indicators. And so that's really what bothers me, because I think they are on the verge of making a policy misstep. They over-eased, and we got the inflation bulge. At least we know transitory was 18 months. And now I think that they've over-eased and then they've over-tightened. And we'll know that with the fullness of time as to the damage that they've done to the economy. I mean, a lot of businesses and consumers managed to lock in. But this higher for longer means that as the debt rolls over at interest rates that are about 300 basis points above their origination, that is going to bite hard over the next couple of years.
David, we're out of time. I'm sorry, too short a visit. Just simple, one more important question. Leafs or Bruins?
Well, if the Leafs win, I have to leave the city for a couple of weeks. I'm talking about if they win the cup. So I'm not going to alienate all my Toronto friends and say that because historically I've also hated the Bruins probably more than any other team outside of the Flyers.
Good.
But if the Leafs win, I'm coming to visit you in New York.